chapter 31. And he heard the words of Laban's sons, saying, Yaakov hath taken away all that was our father's, and that which was our father's, and that which was our father's hath he gotten all his wealth. And Yaakov beheld the countenance of Laban, and behold, it was not toward him as beforetime. And the Lord said unto Yaakov, Return unto the land of your fathers, and unto your kindred, and I will be with you. And Yaakov sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field unto his flock, and said unto them, I see your father's countenance, that is not toward me as beforetime, but the God of my father hath been with me. And ye know that with all my power I have served your father. And your father hath mocked me, changed my wages 10 times, but God suffered him not to hurt me. If he said thus, The speckled shall be your wages, then all the flock bore speckled. And if he said thus, The streaked shall be your wages, then bore all the flock streaked. Thus God hath taken away the cattle of your father, and given them to me. And it came to pass at the time that the flock conceived, that I lifted up mine eyes, and saw in a dream, and behold, the he-goats which leaped upon the flock were streaked, speckled, and grizzled. And the angel of God said unto me in the dream, Yaakov. And I said, Here am I. And he said, Lift up now your eyes, and see, all the he-goats which leap upon the flocks are streaked, speckled, and grizzled. I have seen all that Laban doeth unto you. I am the God of Bethel, where you didst anoint a pillar, where you didst vow a vow unto me. Now arise, get you out from this land, and return into the land of your nativity. And Rachel and Leah answered and said unto him, Is there yet any portion of inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not accounted by him strangers? For he has sold us, and hath also quite devoured our price. For all the riches which God hath taken away from our father, this is ours, and our children's. Now then, whatsoever God hath said unto you, do. Then Yaakov rose up, and set his sons and his wives upon the camels. And he carried away all his cattle and all his substance which he had gathered, the cattle of his getting, which he had gathered in Padan Aram, to go to Ishiach, his father, into the land of Canaan. Now Laban was gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel stole the teraphim that were her father's. And Yaakov outwitted Laban the Aramean, in that he told him not that he fled. So he fled with all that he had, and he rose up, and passed over the river, and set his face toward the mountain of Gilead. And it was told Laban on the 3rd day that Yaakov was fled. And he took his brethren with him, and pursued after him 7 days' journey. And he overtook him in the mountain of Gilead. And God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream of the night, and said unto him, Take heed to yourself that you speak not to Yaakov, either good or bad. And Laban came up with Yaakov. Now Yaakov had pitched his tent in the mountain, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the mountain of Gilead. And Laban said to Yaakov, What have you done, that you have outwitted me, and carried away my daughters as though captives of the sword? Wherefore did you flee secretly, and outwit me, and didst not tell me, that I might have seen you away with myrrh, and with songs, with tabret, and with harp? And didst not suffer me to kiss my sons and my daughters? Now have you done foolishly. It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt. But the God of your father spoke unto me yesternight, saying, Take heed to yourself that you speak not to Yaakov, either good or bad. And now that you art surely gone, because you sore longest after your father's house, wherefore have you stolen my gods? And Yaakov answered, said to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I said, Lest you shouldest take your daughters from me by force. With whomsoever you findest your gods, he shall not live. Before our brethren discern you what is yours with me, and take it to you, for Yaakov knew not that Rachel had stolen them. And Laban went into Yaakov's tent, and into Leah's tent, and into the tent of the 2 maidservants. But he found them not, and he went out of Leah's tent, and entered into Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the teraphim, and put them in the saddle of the camel, and sat upon them. And Laban felt about all the tent, but found them not. And she said to her father, Let not my lord be angry, that I cannot rise up before you, for the manner of women is upon me. And he searched, but found not the teraphim. And Yaakov was wroth, and strove with Laban. And Yaakov answered and said to Laban, What is my trespass? What is my sin, that you have hotly pursued after me? Whereas you have felt about all my stuff, what have you found of all your household stuff? Set it here before my brethren and your brethren, that they may judge between us two. These 20 years have I been with you. Your ewes and your she-goats have not cast their young, and the rams of your flocks have I not eaten. That which was torn of beast I brought not unto you. I bore the loss of it. Of my hand did you require it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Thus I was. In the day the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep fled from mine eyes. These 20 years have I been in your house. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flock, and you have changed my wages 10 times. Except the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Ishmael had been on my side. Surely now have you sent me away empty. God hath seen my affliction, and the labor of my hands, and gave judgment yesternight. And Laban answered and said unto Yaakov, The daughters are my daughters, and the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks, and all you seest is mine. And what can I do this day for these my daughters, and for their children whom they have borne? And now come, let us make a covenant, I and you, and let it be for a witness between me and you. And Yaakov took a stone, and set it up for a pillar. And Yaakov said unto his brethren, Gather stones. And they took stones, and made a heap, and they did eat there by the heap. And Laban called it Yagar Sahadutha, but Yaakov called it Galid. And Laban said, This heap is witness between me and you this day. Therefore was the name of it called Galid, and Mitzpah. For he said, The Lord watch between me and you, then we are absent, when we are absent one from another. And if you shall afflict my daughters, and if you shall take a wives beside my daughters, no man being with us, see, God is witness between me and you. And Laban said to Yaakov, Behold this heap, and behold the pillar, which I have set up between me and you. This heap be witness, and this pillar be witness, that I will not pass over this heap to you, and that you shall not pass over this heap and this pillar unto me for harm. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge between us. And Yaakov swore by the fear of his father Ishmael. And Yaakov offered a sacrifice in the mountain, and called his brethren to eat bread. And they did eat bread, and tarried all night in the mountain. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. Now, in the last chapter, we had the sons being born. All of the sons have been born but one, and that's going to be Benjamin. Benjamin is the son of my right hand. He has not been born yet. We are still in the period where Yaakov is just getting ready to leave Laban's house, and he's in the last chapter we had a little bit of drama, you might call it, where Yaakov had streaked the sticks and was putting them in front of the goats and the sheep to cause their mottledness, or to show that. And we're going to find it's that where the colors are mingled in. These appearances are come together. These different colors, and the Lord was increasing his herds. But we'll find out Yaakov had made a slight difference in that he was separating the flocks, those from the feeble, and he was choosing among them. Of course, he had been left to tend the flocks of Laban. Laban means the white or the one that's this what's made white, or the white. And we're going to pick it up here in verse 1. And he heard the words of Laban's son, saying, Yaakov has taken away all that was our father's, and of that which was our father's has he gotten all his wealth. So Yaakov overhears Laban's sons, those that would come forth from him, these masculines, this speech even, and Yaakov has taken away all that was our father's, all that belonged to this one who we are from, whose Shem we carry on, and of that which our father has got he all his wealth. So now they're saying that he's used everything that Yaakov had to get everything that he's got. And we'll find out this was his wages. He saved his wages. He built his wages. And a man is worthy of his wages. 2. And Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban, and behold, it was not toward him as before time. So Jacob, or Jacob, he overhears these guys talking, and he understands, and he sees that Laban ain't his pleasant self any more towards him as he has been before. 3. And the Lord said unto Jacob, Return unto the land of your fathers, and to your kindred, and I will be with you. And the Lord, that's Hashem, that's the presence of the Lord himself. We'll find out. Jacob's not a stupid man. Jacob hears this speech, and he hears this, and he sees Laban ain't very friendly anymore. Surely the Lord says, get out of there, return into the land of your fathers. We'll find out. He's been gone long enough. And the Lord, and this is just another example, we find out common sense talking to him, speaking to him, our own good judgment. We claim this is our own common sense. Well, that's the Lord trying to get him out of there. 4. Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field and to his flock. And Jacob sent and called his wives, both of them, Rachel and Leah. Rachel is that lost ewe, that ewe lamb, the one who's going to add to the flock, kind of gone astray. Leah is her sister, the one shares her understanding of her father, that Leah means weary. And he calls him to the field of his flock, but that's where he had distanced himself, remember, about 3 days' journey from Laban and his flocks. 5. And said unto them, I see your father's countenance, that it is not toward me as before, but the God of my father has been with me. And he tells them that he sees that their dad, their father, is not acting like he was before. He's not as friendly as to me as he's been. 6. And you know that with all my power I've served your father, and I've worked hard. Is what he's saying. And I've worked hard for him and served him well. 7. And your father mocked me, changed my wages 10 times, but God suffered him not to hurt me. And your father, and that's the one to give birth to these 2 wives of his, has mocked him, changed his wages 10 times, and 10. That's going to be a reference to the law in this number, that he's changed them, and we'll find out. He's about had all of it he's going to take. But we'll see. There's a little more to yesterday's story. We're going to get a little information we didn't get. See, God had suffered him not to hurt him, not to hurt me. 8. If he said thus, the speckled shall your wages, the speckled shall be your wages, then all the flock bore speckled. And if he said thus, the streaked shall be your wages, then bore all the flock streaked. And we find out that's what was going on. He was changing Yaakov's wages with these speckled and these streaked. And this is why the branches would be, he would cutting the white stripes into them to try to reverse these things, or to try to change what Laban was saying from a curse into a blessing every time he changed his wages. If he said they were speckled, all of them were speckled, we'll find out. For the Lord had come to him before and told him these things. 9, thus God hath taken away the cattle of your father and given them to me. And that's how the Lord took away the cattle, these herds of Laban's, and had given them to Yaakov by this abilities that he'd give him to counteract these actions of Laban. 10, and it came to pass at the time that the flock conceived, that I lifted up mine eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the he-goats which leaped upon the flock were streaked, speckled, and grizzled. And it came to pass in time, as time went by, as the flocks conceived, and as this time went on, he lifted up his eyes, and he saw in a dream, and behold, all the he-goats that leaped upon the flock were streaked, speckled, and grizzled. And that was to be modeled in their appearance, to show many colors. 11, and the angel of God said unto me in the dream, Yaakov, and I said, Here am I. 12, and he said, Lift up now your eyes, and see, all the he-goats which leap upon the flock are streaked, speckled, and grizzled. For I have seen all that Laban doeth unto you. And he said, Lift up now your eyes, and see, and look, and see all the he-goats. He-goat is those that exalt themselves over the flock. That would be the male goat, and these ones that are going to kind of take the place of the ram, which leap upon the flocks are streaked, speckled, and grizzled. And the angel showed him that he had prospered him greatly, now that all of them were either streaked, speckled, or grizzled. And because he had seen what Laban had done unto him, and that Laban would changing his wages, causing him to, every time he would be blessed or accomplish the deal or to do it, the wages would be changed in order to change the situation, and we'll find that's kind of like a little supplanting. I mean, Laban was playing the same game. 13, I am the God of Bethel, where you didst anoint a pillar, where you didst vow a vow unto me. Now arise, get you out from this land, and return unto the land of your nativity. And we'll see the Lord come to him and said, I am the God of Bethel. I am the might of Bethel, that house of the mighty one, where you did anoint a pillar. And we'll remember that's that place where he stood up that rock and that pillar and poured the oil on it, and to anoint it, to make a vow to it, where you did vow a vow unto me, and that's what he did. Now arise, get you out from this land, and return into the land of your nativity. Get up and go back to where you come from. That's the land of your nativity, the land of your kindred, the land of your home, your family, where you were born. 14, and Rachel and Leah answered and said unto him, Is there yet any portion of inheritance for us in our father's house? Rachel and Leah, that lost Jew, that weary, the one that's weary, answered and said unto him, Is there any portion of inheritance left in our fathers? There ain't nothing left for us. There's no inheritance left for our father, of our father's house, for us. 15, Are we not counted by him strangers? For he hath sold us, and hath also quite devoured our price. Are we not counted to him as strangers? Like he don't even belong to us. He don't know us. We don't belong to him no more, for he hath sold us. And that's what Laban had done. He had sold his daughters. He had sold his understanding. He had required a price for it, these two daughters of his, and he also quite devoured our price. He had wasted it, spent it away like it was worthless. 16, For all the riches which God had taken away from our father, that is ours, and our children's. Now then, whatsoever God hath said unto you, do. for all the riches which God hath taken away from our father, not to want to give birth to them, these two daughters. And he had God, that's the might and strength of all things that are, the justice, equality, what's right. He's taken it all away, and that is ours and our children's, all that which he's taken away now then. And what she's saying is he's taken it away and given it to us and the kids anyway. Whatsoever God says to do, unto you do. And so he did. 17. And then Yaakov rose up and set his sons and his wives upon the camels, and they packed their stuff. 18. And he carried away all his cattle and all his substance, which he gathered, the cattle of his getting, which he had gathered in Padan Aram, to go to Ishiach his father unto the land of Canaan. So he gathers it all up and he takes it away. His cattle, that's the herds of the masses of flocks, and here the sheep and the goats, and all his substance which he had gathered. The cattle of his getting, that's all those that he had gathered there in Padan Aram. Padan Aram's that elevated place of the exalted one, or the exalted, those that were exalted. To go to Ishiah, that's the one that laughs, his father will give birth to him, and to that land of Canaan. Canaan's the land of humility, the land of humbleness, with a great flock. 19. Now Laban was gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel stole the teraphim that were her father's. Now Laban was absent about this period, I guess, when they were leaving, and because he was gone to shear his sheep, off doing shearing his sheep, and Rachel, taking the fleece from those that are led easily. And Rachel stole the teraphim that were her father's. Now Rachel, that's this lost ewe, this one that's going to add to the flock. We'll see how she got lost. She stole the teraphim that were her father's. And that right there, you're not allowed to steal. Don't take stuff that don't belong to you, especially teraphim that were her father's. These teraphim, a teraphim is an image. That's why later they'll be referred to as gods with a little g, or not a gods, I like to call them. These are not a gods. You're able to see them or touch them. If you can physically see it, it's not God. That was the first clue we got in the beginning from God himself. But these teraphim here, they was also used to, these were devices used to heal. Placebo effect, I expect. They belonged to her father. 20. And Yaakov outwitted Laban, the Aramean, in that he told him not that he fled. But Yaakov had outwitted Laban. He was gone. Laban's the Aramean, this one that is exalted. Laban means white. And that he told him not that he fled. So his plan was just not to tell Laban and run. 21. So he fled with all that he had, and he rose up, passed over the river, and set his face toward the mountain of Gilead. So he fled, he took off, and he rose up and took off, passed over the river. I expect this river here to be the Euphrates. A river is a body of water that streams along, obviously some water being understanding. It's coming down, this is going to be a little understanding coming down here. He sets his face, or even these things that he's going to make plain, toward that mountain. That's that high place of Gilead. And Gilead is a place of stones. It's a place of stones, or a stony area, you might say. 22. And it was told Laban on the third day that Yaakov was fled. And on the third day now, we'll find out Yaakov has done got a pretty good lead on Laban. The third day is going to be to complete that understanding. Jacob was gone. 23. And he took his brethren with him and pursued after him 7 days' journey. And he overtook him in the mountain of Gilead. And he took his brethren, Laban did, these ones that was with him, these ones that like understanding, and his brethren with him, and they pursued after him for 7 days. And that's going to be to finish these understandings of that journey. He overtook him in the mountain of Gilead, and there he got caught up with him. And that's basically what happened. He caught up with him there in that high place of the stony region, or Gilead means the place of stones. 24. And God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream of the night, and said unto him, Take heed to yourself that you speak not to Jacob either good or bad. And the Lord comes to Laban in the Aramean, that's that white, to exalt himself, and God being the powers, the strength, the might itself, comes to him in this dream of night, a vision, you might say, even in the darkness. And he said to him, Take heed to yourself that you speak not to Jacob, either good or bad. In other words, he probably shouldn't have opened his mouth either at all. But he will find out, for any time he spoke bad, he come back good, or vice versa, as he tippy-toes almost with his speech. 25, and Laban came up with Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mountain, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the mountain of Gilead. And Laban came up with Jacob, or he caught up with him, and Jacob had pitched his tent in the mountain, and Laban had, with his brethren, had pitched in the mountain. That mountain being the same mountain, that's that high place of Gilead, that's the stony region. Them stones are going to be for a witness. We will find out. 26. And Laban said to Jacob, What have you done, that you have outwitted me, and carried away my daughters as though captives of the sword? And Laban says to Jacob, What do you think you're doing? You've outwitted me. You took off without my knowledge. You've done something without me knowing. In other words, and we see the magnitude possibly of how Laban had ruled over Jacob. Everything that he did, he had to know about. And you've carried away my daughters as though captives of the sword. Well, found out he possibly had sent many men to get these, expecting maybe trouble. 27. Wherefore did you flee secretly and outwit me, and did not tell me? What I might have sent you away with myrrh, and with songs, tabret, and with harp. Now, wherefore, or why did you go away without my knowledge, and outwit me? Not tell me, and did not tell me. And outwit me means that you did something without me knowing. You didn't tell me about it. I might have sent you away with, and this I might have is probably a very weak might, have sent you away with myrrh and with songs, with tabret and with harp. You might have sent him away with the celebration, this myrrh and with song, happiness and songs. They're going to make memories. Tabret and harp, that which is shaking, this vibrating, this is what a tabret does. A harp has strings, and what these twanging sounds call to remembrance. It's all about making memories. 28. And did not suffer me to kiss my sons and my daughters. Now have you done foolishly. You didn't let me say goodbye to my sons. These would go forth from me, and my daughters. These ones that go forth with my understanding. Now have you done foolishly. So he's accusing him of doing something that wasn't really smart. Foolish here, and to be foolish. Sometimes we do foolish things. Foolish things can be both bad or good. Sometimes we do foolish things in a good way, and sometimes we can do foolish things in a bad way. To be foolish is to do something somebody else thinks is bad. But it may be in your understanding good. And we'll find out. The Lord judges between our understandings, and basically that's what happens in the long run. 29. It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt, but the God of your fathers spoke unto me yesternight, saying, Take heed to yourself, that you speak not to Yaakov, good or bad. And he tells him, I could take you by force. I got the ability, but the God of your fathers says me yesternight that's in that period of darkness that was before. Take heed to yourself, or that you shouldn't speak to Yaakov, good or bad. That you shouldn't be one way or the other with him. And we'll find out. Laban has fear. 30. Now that you art surely gone, because you sore longest after your father's house, wherefore have you stolen my gods? And now you are surely gone, and you're not coming back, because you have longest for your father's house, this place where you was born. But why have you stolen my gods? And this is going to be those teraphim. We remember that Rachel has got. She stole them. These stolen gods, because one thing is she took from her father's house these images of these not a god. Then, I'm not going to elaborate a lot on this, but I'm going to let you know this is going to be something that's hidden there that's not going to go away. 31. And Yaakov answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I said, lest you shouldest take your daughters from me by force. And Yaakov answers and says to Laban, well, the reason I took them with the swords is because I was afraid. I said, lest you shouldest take your daughters from me by force. So that's why he had sent them, and according to Laban's understanding, by sword. We find out that he thought that you would try to take those daughters back. 32. With whomsoever you findest your gods, he shall not live before our brethren. Discern you what is yours with me, and take it to you. For Yaakov knew not that Rachel had stolen them. And he says, whomsoever you find your not a gods, anybody with us that's got your not a gods, he shall not live. We'll find out that had already happened. Even here in this world, there's death, and there's death both of spirit, there's death of the body as well. But this one who had stolen these not a gods, even the one who already had the understanding of that, was already, shall we not say, in the land of the living. For Jacob didn't know that Rachel had stolen them. He had no way to perceive these things. It was not visible to him. But she had. That's that lost Jew. But one's going to add to the flock. We see how she's got lost. 33. And Laban went into Yaakov's tent and Leah's tent, and into the tent of the two maidservants, but he found them not. And he went out of Leah's tent and entered into Rachel's tent. And Laban, he goes to searching. He went into Jacob's tent, and he searched Yaakov's tent. A tent is an abode, something that's covered in skin. We'll find out this one who's white is searching everybody's tent. And he went into Leah's tent, that's the tent of the weary, and into the tent of the two maidservants. We will do well to witness these two maidservants, these two feminine ones who will serve as well. But he found them not. He went out of Leah's tent, entered into Rachel's tent. That's lost you. 34. Now Rachel had taken the teraphim, put them into the saddle of the camel, set upon them. And Laban felt about all the tent, but he found them not. Now Rachel she had taken those terafin, those natagods, those devices used for healing by placebo, I might add, and she put them in the saddle of the camel. And she put them there in the saddle of the camel. A saddle is that what you would ride upon, and the camel carries the saddle, of course. The camel is a reference to the merchandise. She's going to put those natagods into the saddle, or that was carried by merchandise. And it makes sense to me. And she sat upon them, and that's where you would find her riding. And Laban felt about all the tent, but found them not. Laban, he looked around everywhere, but he couldn't find them. We'll find out why. The 35, and she said to her father, "Let not my lord be angry that I cannot rise up before you, for the manner of women is upon me." And he searched, but found not the terafin. And he said to her father, she's going to, "Let not my lord be angry that I cannot rise up before you." She has the reason. This manner of women is upon me, and she was in her impurity. We'll find out that which shows the sin, the blood, which issued out, and it was showing the sin. Laban couldn't put two and two together, but she didn't rise. She stayed seated there upon those things which she had stolen, and her issue spilled out upon. That's the terafin, those things that show the sin. Those things they think's going to heal them has the blood on it. However you want to look at it, friends, we can draw lines all day on that understanding right there. 36, and Yaakov was wroth, strove with Laban. Yaakov answered and said to Laban, "What is my trespass? What is my sin that you have hotly pursued after me?" And after he didn't find nothing, of course, it was there. He was unable to find it because of the impurity of it. Yaakov was wroth. He was mad. And he strove with Laban. Now he's got something to come back with. And Yaakov told him, said, What have I done? What is my trespass? How have I sinned against you? Or was my wrong that you've come after me like this? 37. Whereas you have felt about all my stuff, what have you found of all your household stuff? Set it here before my brethren and your brethren, that they may judge between us two. He says, now, you've searched everything I've got. You ain't found nothing. If you have, set it out here. What have you found? And set it out here before our brethren, my brethren, your brethren. That's ones that have a similar understanding to me, and one have a similar understanding to you. And let's see what you got. Let them judge between us two. It will be a witness, these two as well, between them two. 38. These 20 years have I been with you. Your ewes and your she-goats have not cast their young, and the rams of your flocks have I not eaten. These 20 years I've been with you. Your ewes, your she-goats. These 20 is always going to be to witness the law and the greater understandings of it. 20 stands for redemption, to be deemed by witnessing the law, or maybe paying for what you've done, having served your period. I've been with you. Your ewes, these ones that add to the flock, the feminine of the sheep, and your she-goats, that's the ones that add to the flock of the goat, that have not cast their young. They've not lost their young that's born from them, those ones they give birth to. And the rams of your flocks I've not eaten. And the rams, that's those that exalt over the herds. He had not taken part of. 39. That which was torn of beast I brought not unto you. I bore the loss of it. Of my hand did you require it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. That which is torn of beast, taken by nature itself, he didn't complain about it. He bore the loss of it. His work did, and we'll find out, of his work did Laban require. Laban had made him pay for that. and whether he stole it by day or stole it by night. And it didn't matter when it was taken, in full view of understanding or in the darkness without it. Whether he knew what happened to it or not, it didn't matter. 40. Thus I was in the day, the drought consumed me, and the frost by night. My sleep fled from mine eyes, and thus I was in the day, when there was understanding. The drought, the lack of water consumed me. No, it was no understanding. And the frost by night, and then the darkness, the frigidness, the frost, which comes in with the moisture of the dews of heaven settle upon you and freeze. My sleep fled from mine eyes. There was no sleep, no rest, according to my perceptions. 41. These 20 years have I been in your house. I've served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, 6 years for your flock, and you have changed my wages 10 times. And these 20 years, where I've witnessed the law and the greater understandings, been redeemed by the greater understandings, I've been in your house. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters. 14, that's 10 and 4. That's the law working in the greater understandings where he served. Was for these 2 daughters. For these 2 daughters, we can witness these 2 daughters, these 2 understandings that come forth from Laban. 6 years for your flock, and 6 is going to be the work of man, the greater understandings of it all. That's the work the Lord created for him anyway. For these flocks, and that's those herds that he had took over. And you have changed my wages 10 times. And these 10 times, we'll find out, 10's the law, and times is a period across the periods. These 10 laws across these periods that were changed, were added to, you might say. 42. Except the God of my father, God of Abraham, and the fear of Ishmael had been on my side. Surely now had you sent me away empty. God hath seen mine affliction and the labor of my hands, and gave judgment yesternight. He said, now except the God of my father, that's the might and power of all things of my father, that want to give birth to me, he said, the God of Abraham, the father of all the nations, and the fear of Ishmael, this respect of the one that laughs, had been on my side, and that they was on my side, because I had respect for my father, and this God of Abraham, that powers and might of the father of many nations. Surely now you had sent me away empty. If it hadn't been for the Lord, I wouldn't have nothing. But he, seen mine affliction and the labor of my hands, what I had done, and he gave judgment yesternight. And he's done past judgment. It's done. And the darkness that was before, 43. And Laban answered and said unto Jacob, the daughters are my daughters, and the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks, and all that you seest is mine. And what can I do this day for these my daughters, and for the children whom they have borne? And Laban answers and says to Jacob that everything's his. These understandings are his understandings. These children are his children, the ones that come forth from him, and these flocks are his flocks, those that he tended. All that you see is his. What can he do for his understandings, or those that go forth from him, whom his understandings have brought forth? 44. And now come, let us make a covenant, I and you, and let it be for a witness between me and you. So now Laban, the one who's white, wants to make a little agreement, make an agreement for a witness. The agreement is for a witness, so that between him and Jacob, that's supplemental. 45. And Jacob took a stone, set it up for a pillar. He takes another stone, A stone is something that's firm, it's established, it's been there a while. He sets it up for a pillar, as for a marker, an example. And Yaakov says unto his brethren, Gather stones. And they took stones and made a heap, and they did eat there by the heap. And Yaakov says unto his brethren, that's those that have a like understanding unto him, gather stones. And they gathered stones, and like I said, a stone is any size rock. A rock is something that's been around for a while. It's established. It's we can look at it like it's sometimes a word. A word can be a stone. It's established. It's been around a while. They make a heap, and they did eat there by the heap, and they will find out had a supper there by this heap, and this heap is going to represent all the words that can be spoken out of this covenant that they're going to make. 47. Laban called it Yegar Sahadutha, but Yaakov called it Galid. Now, they call it by two different names, but we'll find out it really has one meaning. Each man's saying it in his own understanding, but all the words are there. Yagar Sahadutin is going to be this heap for a witness, and that's that pile of stones. It's all the words that were spoken under the contract that was there. But Yaakov calls it Galid, and Galid is that which is rolled together. It's build up, adding up to. We'll find out there may be a pretty good heap of stones there. That some of them they may have had to roll up there. To establish it, and it's for a witness to show. 48. And Laban said, This heap is a witness between me and you this day. Therefore the name of it was called Galid. And that's what Laban said. This heap is a witness. A heap is going to be a pile, a heaped up, a pile of, many cast on it, between me and you this day. That's why they called it Galid. It's a bunch of stones rolled up, heaped up together. And Mizpah, 49, and Mizpah, for he said, The Lord watch between me and you, when you are absent from one from another. Mizpah, because Mizpah means watchtower. It's like it's a high place to watch from. Whereas we'll find out the Lord's established on that mound there. The powers, the strength of this. The Lord here is the holy name Himself, the Shem, that name, the presence of the righteousness and justice Himself between me and you, when we are not around each other. 50. If you shall afflict my daughters, and you shall take wives beside my daughters, no band being with us. See, God is witness between me and you. He said, Now if you shall afflict my daughters, if you shall harm them, cause them to serve, one might say, into these understandings that went forth from him. And if you shall take wives beside my daughters, if you shall take other reflections of an understanding beside these reflections that he had given him, no man being with us, nobody has to be here. Ain't nobody got to be around. Like I said, see, God is a witness between me and you. Now, that powers, the might, and the strength is going to be a witness. We'll find out. Watch over the truth, judgment. Everything that's right will be over top of all of it. 51. And Laban said to Yaakov, Behold this heap, and behold the pillar, which I have set up between me and you. And Laban said to Yaakov, See this heap and this pillar, which he had set up between them two. And 52. This heap be a witness, and the pillar be a witness, that I will not pass over this heap to you, that you shall not pass over this heap and the pillar unto me for harm. And that's what it was for, to show. It was to be a witness, a pillar, a something to stand up and say You can't go no further than this. This is the point where you must stop. I can't pass over to you. You can't pass over to me for harm, and that's to do that which is not well. Good. 53. The God of Abraham, the God of Nachor, the God of their father, judge between us. And Yaakov swore by the fear of his father Ishmael. And the God of Abraham, that's the power, the might, the strength, that's within the father of many nations. And this God of Nahor, that's the same. Nahor was that one that was snorting and boasting, and the God of their father. The God of their father was the same. The father of Nahor and Abraham was the God of him, as we'll find out. That was Terah. Terah was the one who was stationed or had that position. He was the father of Abraham and Nahor. And he was the one who made these not a gods for everybody else to worship, but unto his sons. He said, don't do that. And Jacob swore by the fear of his father Ishmael, and he swore because of that one he was born from, his father Ishmael, that one that laughs. 54. And Jacob offered a sacrifice in the mountain. He called his brethren to eat bread, and they did eat bread and tarried all the night in the mountain. And Jacob offered a sacrifice, and there they made atonement in that high place. And he called his brethren to eat bread, to partake of that which nourishes the body and the soul. And they did eat, and they tarried all the night, and they tarried through the darkness there in that high place. They would stay there until the next day, we'll find. We will move forward to Genesis chapter 32. Turn, it's return.